Hey, Nick Inman, founder of VolumeProfileTrader.com, and tonight we're going to be overviewing the S&P. Going to kind of keep it broad and then cover a few new positions that I initiated today. So first things first, I did add a new moving average, and the reason why it's this green one here, it's a 34 SMA, and the reason why was because sometimes you have to put it in perspective, what the market's doing, and the last time that the market made a meaningful vertical move, we traded sideways arguably for 20 trading days or so before we took the next leg higher. It got close to this 34 SMA, but didn't quite touch it. But if you could see in relation, this SMA is going to continue to move higher just because the last 34 days, it's going to continue to migrate higher unless we see some type of reversal. But if theoretically, if we wait for price to move sideways enough for the 34 SMA to even get close to where it touched last time, despite the slope, you're thinking, look at here on the bottom. I'm looking at the date. Trading sideways maybe for till the start of October. So there's a chance that the market's going to do more of the same, which is trade sideways for the next week or so. And I just want you, to kind of be aware of that and not try to rush it or, do whatever. I think it's right to stay to the long side because there's no reason to fight this right now. There's no signs of sellers coming in and dominating the tape. You just keep trailing your stops, and if you have to take a position off because it's not working, either you get stopped out or you just take the position off. Something like American Express. Bouncing off the point of control here. But this is one of those situations where, let's put it this way, if it makes a new intraday low and closes below these levels, my spread, it's down, but I'm not going to let it turn into a full loss. I'll probably take I'll take the position off. It's a call spread. I'll probably take the position off for whatever it's currently trading at it, but it's better than it expiring worthless. So it's got to give us a bounce tomorrow. But if it doesn't and it keeps going, that's when I'll ditch the position. S&P, as long as it keeps working, then we want to stay long. So let's continue to focus on that. NASDAQ, same thing. Dow, same thing. And the Russell, yes. Transports bouncing off the value area low for the year. 2 days. Okay, this is interesting. 2 days of heavy volume. Well, 3 days of heavy volume and a nice reversal day today. Let's look at some. I'm just doing this free-handed. FedEx doesn't look too good to me. UPS, we're at the value area low, but you could go for it, but I'm not necessarily certain if that's what you want to be doing. UNP struggling, breaking moving averages. Kansas City, Southern, bouncing off the 55, but even so, this is a pretty, this is the way I see it. Bouncing off the 55, this is a pretty steep sell-off, and this usually means some type of short-term top. Why? Because we exceeded these lows, we pressed below them. So even if this does bounce, your absolute ceiling, in my opinion, is up at these highs. So just be aware of that. Be on the lookout, maybe for potential lower highs, something along those lines, as far as, further weakness. If Kansas City Southern is something you trade, just to go to the last one, CSX, similarly. Now, the last multiple times it's been anywhere down here towards basically sub 21, it's been right to be a buyer, but I'm not necessarily certain that's something that you want to be a part of. So let's continue to move on. Just to show you 60 euro continues to reject off that point of control for the year, and the dollar is bouncing off the bottom of this high volume area. So it pierced the point of control for the year, but the bottom of the high volume area is holding so far. However, look at this sell-off that we're seeing. And what you're seeing looks like a little bear flag maybe, and it continues lower. I don't know. It just doesn't look like something I want to be long. And that's kind of going the same thing with the euro. It had a great run-up, but once it hit this point of control, I think you could go neutral to bearish. As long as these levels hold, it continues to make lower highs and lower lows intraday. So let it continue. Now you're seeing a little bit of support here. Not saying that it will hold. I would expect 27.91. Let's see, 27.91. Bear with me one second. About right here, right? That's about where I would be looking for a potential pullback. One thing to note is the 200 SMA. You know, it's kind of holding, but I wouldn't put too much into it. This is it's just kind of a wait and see approach. Okay, how about let's go into stuff that we initiated today. BristolMyers 34 by 32 put spread, sold them for 77 cents each. So what I did was I sold the 34 October put. I don't know what it's trading at, but then I bought the 32 put, and the net credit was 77 cents per spread that I sold. So, you know, if you sold one spread at $77, if you sold 10 at 777, or, you know, 770. But what I'm looking for is to BristolMyers somehow look to close this gap. You know, I'm only looking for 34. That's where my puts are, and dividend coming out in a week or so. So I want to see this continue to rise into earnings, and you know, depending on its price action, just let it ride and kind of let it go from there. So I just kind of want to add that. Let's see. All right. Intuitive Surgical. Now, I don't know a lot about this company, but what I do know is this chart looks pretty good, and I saw that the company is profitable, but you see this little uptrending channel, flat top, but what interests me the most is the point of control for the year, the SMA moving up. You know, I'm looking for this gap close, 540 plus, and also last month's point of control, or not last month's point of control, but a huge high volume area from last month. Looks like that wants to be covered. So we want to see this continue to move up, and you know, using a stop, you know, just around 500 should work fine. It's not a big position of mine, but I'm looking for a gap close here. Let's go back to the daily chart. Okay, you know what this kind of reminds me of is Yum a couple of weeks ago, flat top, higher lows off the 233, off of the moving average, and then a nice push to the upside. So let's keep an eye on this and, you know, see if it can make that push up towards 540. If we start to move higher, I'll probably buy a little bit more. So just kind of throwing that out. Other than that, everything's pretty much status quo. We'll just go through some of the names. Altria continues to work. BristolMyers, American Express, already saw that. Gold. Gold just continues to hang in there despite being at resistance. Realize, look at this. Last time we were at this level, 3 days, pretty big selling, then obviously a flush. Let's see, we continue to go. We got then a lower high, whatever. We go back to these levels. What do we get? A huge down bar, right? Here we are again. And all of a sudden, we're not getting that. We're getting sideways consolidation. So what does this kind of tell you? Well, let's zoom out a bit. And don't even need the monthly chart. Let's go to the 3-day chart. It's just a nice sideways consolidation for a year and a breakout to the upside. I would expect, you know, maybe a month's worth of consolidation at most, and then a push out to the upside. That's just what I'm suspecting. Similarly with silver, however, I did say this over the weekend that I would rather be long gold than silver. Silver's, in my opinion, a little more speculative and looking for outperformance, but you know, the chart's not saying that right now, so just be aware of that. I guess I will cover Nike. This position's not working out. However, it is at last month's high volume area. So far we're holding it, even though we spiked down. One thing to say is, yes, we spiked down on, you know, nicely today. However, the turnaround, we held the levels. So as long as these levels hold, it's fine. If not, you know, I'm really going to consider getting out of this position. clearly this point of control here was a bit of resistance, and I got suckered in there. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time and see how it works out, but it's not looking good, and it looks like I'd rather take the position off before earnings than try to let it ride through earnings. So Wells Fargo did a decent job bouncing today on decent volume. You know, the volume is increased. If you look at it back from August, you know, then today was pretty big volume. But what you want to see is a turnaround here. One thing to mention is the point of control for the month. We're at those levels now, and so far we're bouncing. So far we have a higher low. That's what we want to see. Long 35 by 37 call spreads. Slight profit in that, actually. I was expecting to see losses in that today, but nope, still profitable, so I'm going to let it ride still, but I want to see it start moving in the next couple of days. Southern, this is a name that's starting to perform. However, the first thing I look at here is point of control for the last 90 days and the last month. Maybe a little bit of resistance here. Decent selling bar as far as volume goes there, but it's the end of the day. And what I'm really looking at is off this huge high volume area here. I called this over the weekend, getting paid off. So we do have a few names: Southern, Altria, and Bristol-Myers, all performing. Even ConocoPhillips, forgot to cover that one, off of the value area high for the year, off of this SMA here. Pretty good volume, so you want to continue to see this go higher. Remember, the thesis is here. I'll zoom out a little more. Is you got a long triangle here. This is something that I think you can, look, does this make sense for me? And if so, this could be a great long-term buy. This chart makes me kind of want to go buy more, to be honest. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to necessarily do that because that's not part of my plan. But I want to be involved in ConocoPhillips. Yum, we're getting a pullback. Well, we just want to see follow through. Coke, giving us a bounce today. Yeah, yesterday was huge volume. Today we got a little bit of a bounce. So let's see if we can see a little bit of follow through on that. And, I've scaled down this position, but still a decent sized position. So just want to be aware of it. Looks like that's it. DuPont, that's the last one. Kind of breaking support here, so kind of bothers me. However, we close there, so we want to see a bounce here. We want to see this thing continue to go. Maybe looking at a 3-day chart puts it in better perspective. Up, down, up, maybe a little bit of down here, and then do we go up? I don't know. These are December 52 half calls, so we do have a little bit of time on this. I'm just really looking for the value area high. Maybe we get a breakout, but the value area high would do fine, and kind of go from there. So anyways, I hope this helps. I hope it gives you a nice overview of the market. Be patient. There's no reason to really thread the needle here unless if you see a setup. If you see a setup and you get a qualified setup, take it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's why I got in Bristol-Myers. That's why I got in Intuitive Surgical, although Intuitive is a smaller position. That's why I got in Altria the other day, and that's why I increased my position in Southern the other day. It's just, you see the setup, you go with it, and if your setups are good and if you're patient, you're going to make a lot of money. So anyways, I hope that helps. Be ready for the site to be rolled out. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. I know it. Just going to provide a ton of value for you to really turn your trading around or take it to the next level. So have a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.